and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. I'm your host, Dorothy Odell, for this evening. I just want to say, I'm truly blessed and grateful. Each year we get to put a Don Gray Memorial Fun Classic together in honor of my dad and his losing his cancer battle almost 3 years ago. And I'm super excited because I have to give a huge shout out to Southern Elliott Insurance Brokers, who decided to come on board with us this year, be a whole sponsor. IG Private Wealth Management and Master Narni and Associates, great guy. Image by Courtney, an amazing lady. Definitely, if you want your an empowerment coach, connect with her. Pure Flavor, one of the best greenhouses here in Leamington, Ontario, of which I do work for during the day. Sohn Media Solutions, shout out to Tim Sohn. And again, shout out to Kira's Rose Garden out in Tilbury for all your floral needs and household. They have this special little corner in there, and I could probably spend hours and thousands of dollars of money in there each time I go into Kira's Rose Garden. So go give them some love next time you're in Tilbury, Ontario. Anyways, we're still looking for golfers and more whole sponsors. So connect with me today if that is something that you would want to be part of. I promise you, if nothing else, we'll have fun. And this year, we have teamed up with the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance since my dad's great part of his life there the last 15 years. And we are raising money for their patient care assist program, which is outstanding. So patients that are having trouble financially, they connect on so many levels. So I'm really super excited this year to partner with them. So shout out to the Chatham-Kent Health Alliance and Tracy that is working over there with them diligently. With that, though, I have my partner in crime back, and I can't wait to bring her back to the show here. Welcome back, Kimberly.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
Absolutely. When I went like this, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so much of a glare on my face. I think I like that better.
Let us know. I'm a very bright light since I've come back, and my intention is to keep it bright.
That's right. Let us know where you're listening in from, guys. We would love to know where everybody is from around the world. And Kimberly spent like all of January in several different places, but one of them was the El Camino in Portugal. And so
I think you mean July, Dorothy, not January.
June, I meant. That's what I meant. What did I say?
I thought well, we'll let the audience tell us, because, I very much learned what I hear may not be what got said, right? So what I heard was January, and then I love it because I corrected you with July, and you're like, no, it's really June. So
it was June.
It's already in bloom. So
that's right.
It started in June and finished in July. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Love that.
We got all the J's covered. I think. I don't think there's any other J's in a year, are there?
No, I don't think so. We covered them all.
Yeah, we covered all the J's.
We covered all the J's.
Yeah.
So awesome. Now that we've got that straight, from June to July, anyways. So tell us, my dear, about this trip, because I didn't know anything about it, but you're the second person that has come on the show and said, hey, I'm going to go to the El Camino this year. And I really have no idea what it is. So I'm super excited to learn what this is all about.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give up that lands for me like a huge undertaking. And the first thing I'm going to do is just put a disclaimer out there for all you that have already done a Camino, or you happen to be one of the masters who've done Caminos. Hey, I'm a newbie. This was my first Camino. And so I'm just going to speak from my heart and my experience. And, if I'm off, it's only because I don't know what I don't know, because it was my first one. Yeah. So the Camino, as I know it, is there's a multitude of walking paths throughout Europe. Some are just over 1,000 kilometers. The longest paths that I'm aware of, I believe there's 20. Again, don't quote me. There could be more, or I know there's not less. I know there's at least 20. And then the shortest one that I'm aware of is just over 100 kilometers. And the intention of the Camino, basically, the Camino stands for the way, right? And it is a pilgrimage, literally intended to be like you walk this pilgrimage, you take this pilgrimage, and you walk this path, and all the paths lead to Santiago, Spain, and the cathedral in Santiago, Spain. And buried there are the actual remains of Saint James. And so it is a true, and it can be anything you want it to be. For me, it was a true spiritual pilgrimage walk, right? Endeavor to walk the path. I took the Porto coastal path, which is 280. Oh God, it's embarrassing. I'm gonna have to pull it up. It's 177 miles approximately in a 2-week period, from Porto, Portugal, to Santiago. And during that pilgrimage, as you're walking that path, and it's that path in particular was an average of 12 miles a day, and some days were longer, some days were shorter. The intention is, for me, it was a 14-day period. And in that time period, you will find your way. You will find your Camino. You will find your message, especially if your intention is to gain access to a spiritual message. And it looks like exactly what it's supposed to look like for you. And so yeah, I have done a Native American Indian vision quest, and to me, it's very similar to that in the faith-based community. So that it really did show up for me, like, oh, I got my mission from God, like. That's what I was going for, right? Like that I was looking for. So I'm not necessarily saying that's what's going to show up for everyone. Whatever you go there for, you will get,
Right.
So
I love that.
yeah.
And I know that we talked a little bit on the flip side when you came back for a little bit and said that, the ways of being over there compared to the ways of being here in the United States and Canada are completely different. And you see how that culture you definitely want to be bringing back into at least some part of it into your everyday life now that you're back.
Yeah. I want to again be very responsible for the audience listening and everything. Like I'm very blessed to be an American. I'm very blessed to be an American citizen, and it was my personal experience, right? So it's like it's what I took away, and for me, part of my Camino, I'm like so excited. Oh, because this is the other piece, like, especially for us faith-based people, is to know that the people that have walked these Caminos, we're talking Jesus Christ, we're talking the saints, we're talking. I found out Saint Francis Assisi, right? Like, forget like, and I'm not knocking celebrities, right? But like, yeah, there's countless celebrities and other amazing, like I found out through one of the people who was walking that the first woman to ever get to the peak of Mount Everest has done it and refers people to it, right? You know what I mean? So the legions of like amazingness of humanity who have walked these paths is like ridiculous, right? And like for faith-based people to know, like, to be walking and being like, my God, like Jesus was on the same road, St. James was on the same road, it's like pretty incredible, pretty darn incredible. So to get back to what you were asking about, it's like being in that environment. So what you like, you know what I mean? Like when you say the difference in the cultures. I love that you said that. Like the biggest one, and I think it would be obvious to a lot of people, but maybe not like until you get there, is how young American and Canada, like for like us as citizens of right America, like obviously the land's been there the whole time, right?
Yeah.
But that civilization in Europe, right, like dates back thousands of years, not hundreds, right? Like but just like this tradition, the Camino tradition, is like 5,000 years old.
Wow.
I mean, think about it. The United States has been
That's
around for two, so we're just there's a sense of like deep wisdom in their culture, like embedded in their culture.
right.
So with that, like, and that's just me being responsible, like, so they've had a lot more time culturally than we have to get to where they are. At the things that were there that I couldn't know to really take to a whole nother level. Like the first one that's coming to my mind that I would want to share with people is the amount of family and intimate romantic love. And I mean on every level, like every level. And the amount of like, if you just stood on a street corner and watched humanity walk by, the amount of people you would see walking, holding hands, loving on each other. And I'm not just talking about couple, I'm not talking about, like tourists, right?
Mhm.
Like, of course that's happening. I'm talking about groups of young men,
Wow.
hugging and loving on each other, and just like, and the level of like connection and laughter and just camaraderie,
Mhm.
connection and camaraderie. It's thick. It's so thick you can cut it with a knife.
I love it.
So that, and then also, and I don't know what I don't know, but the awareness of like how healthy their food and beverages are in compare. And I can't speak for Canada. You can speak better than I can about, but definitely America's like the way we process food, the way we like, we seemingly are more concerned about it lasting longer
Mhm.
than we are about its nutritional values.
I would say the same here.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so like it's like to the point, like this is really fun. Like so Lisbon, Portugal, and Porto, Portugal, and just across the border into Spain, like they're as close as like Indiana. It's a great analogy. Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, right?
Wow.
Like they're that close together, right? Like really, or they, and what they have in Lisbon, Portugal, is not available in Spain, right? Or vice versa, right?
Right.
So, like, for example, Portugal has this amazing green wine. Like, I was like, green wine? Like, oh my gosh, we had so much fun with the green wine, right? But the minute you crossed over into Spain, no green wine. Like, it's
Wow.
like, no, because like it lasts however long it lasts. Like there's not these massive exporting things going on, and then vice versa. I'm trying to remember what it was in Spain, and we asked for it in Portugal. They're like, no, no, or even something in Porto, Portugal that you couldn't get in Lisbon, right? So it's very like localized. It was fun. My bestie of 30 years just happened again. I think that's part of my Camino, to go to Europe for the first time right after I left on a cruise, and she had gone to some German cheese factory, and they were saying like it's like, well, it's not pasteurized cheese or whatever, the milk or whatever, right? And the conversation was, well, it doesn't need to be. We literally walk across our driveway to the cows, like the cow dairy farm, get the
Right.
milk and bring it. It's like, it's not going on a truck bed, right? Down the whatever. So I'm like, I again, just be very responsible. It's like, I love my country. God put me in America. He birthed me in America for a purpose, and I honor and I respect it. And I couldn't know what I couldn't know,
Yeah.
and I couldn't get access to the impact of certain things that in our country we've valued as a country. Excuse me, that may or may not be ideal. And I'm just going to speak for myself, right? Like, not the most supportive uh, things for me, right? And how my human vessel responds to that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, having this whole new, because like it's part of the Camino, right? So it's like, for those, some people know, some people don't know, right? Like, I'm currently diagnosed morbidly obese, right? Like, my weight is at a weight of morbid obesity. And no matter how many hours on the treadmill or how many programs, like all that, like there were things that were happening to my body in the environment called America that I couldn't know that there was to address. I was too busy in my own head making myself wrong, right? Like, looking for things I was doing wrong instead of looking to the environment, and being like, okay, well, maybe maybe not, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something's off in the environment that I don't even know, like pollutions, toxins, whatever, right? Like all that. So anyway, it's those are the kind of things. And I just a true appreciation, like when you especially when you're walking as many miles, as we were over the course of 2-week period, when you walk past building after building that was built in, like, literally built in like 1300,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like, holy crap, and you touch these things, right? And you can feel the vibration of, like, the amount of wisdom, the just all of it. It's just very, very rich indeed.
Right. So, did you get what you went there for then? Like, was you went there for a specific purpose?
Yeah.
And if you're willing to share what that purpose was, and if you
Yeah.
really did get what you were set out to get.
Yeah, that's so great. So yes, and a bag of chips, as I like to say. So it's funny. The evolution of my Camino started the minute I said yes to my very dear friend who was on the Camino with me, and her having brought it up to me, right? And then watching God use it, and being aware that this has been this was on God's agenda for me for a long time. And even though I personally, at the age of so I think I heard about it for the first time at 57, turning. Well, that's not true. So there's a great movie. Highly recommend it.
Shocker!
I know. When Pam watches this, and I'm gonna actually say her name, she's gonna be like, "Oh, there it is. There's a movie reference." Yes, I will always reference movies till the day I die. I'm certain of that. Shout out to Emilio Estevez and Martin Sheen for creating a movie back in 2010 called The Way. So if you've never seen it, go see it. And good for you to know that the sequel is scheduled to come out, I believe, this year. I'm almost positive, which is also very exciting. Because, so I say that because I saw that movie with my husband, I'm pretty sure the year it came out, which is cray-cray, right? Because it was like, and I know I loved it. I know I felt called by it, right? And as I'm also very aware, one of my gifts is God gives me visions way before they're going to come into reality. Like way before. And I apologize. You know what? Let me drink some fluid here. So
Well, you drink that. I just want to give a shout out. Mark,
Perfect.
our friend Mark Lee says, hello, amazing ladies. And our friend from Pod TV. So I'm excited that Pod TV is actually watching us tonight. That is
Me
awesome.
too. That's very exciting. So thank you for that opportunity to feed my vessel, because that was one of the big takeaways, is like taking care of myself at a really high level, brand newly. But anyway, so I saw that movie, and I know that seed got planted way back then, but I, hurried through my life, as I tend to do, taking care of whatever I have it God has put on my plate for that day. And then it materialized again through Barbara last year. But this time I believe for a lot of different reasons, right? Like, this was the time where God was like, oh no, this is going to happen. It's going to happen this time around. It's going to be stunning. Right. So initially it was really just inside of like a caring and a love for this dear friend, and a commitment that she follows through on what she wanted to be doing. Right. But very clear that God had been preparing me for this for at least, I don't know, obviously 14 years, something in that area, 10, 14 years. But as I was awakening to the process and the preparation for the Camino, what became very clear on my heart is that God wanted me to get a message on the Camino. And I was like, okay, okay, great, I'll get a message. But then what happened, and this is maybe this is more what you're pointing to, is my husband got laid off. And so in this window of saying yes to it and preparing for it and going on it, and it was personally a large issue for us as a family, because my husband, oh goodness, well, he's in his lower 60s, right? But so it was well, I'll just use the word hardship, right? Like, it was hard. It was a hard time. And then, I ended up with heart issues in January, and to the point where I was like serious. It was serious. We'll just say it's serious. Leave it at that. So there were a lot of what I would refer to as legitimate roadblocks that were piling up. And all that kept ringing true to that was, and even more reason to go, but not like a head, like, damn it all to hell, I'm going, right? Like, get out of my way, I'm going, but very much spiritually driven and very much body driven. And so one of the favorite things I love to share with people and also recommend to people is, if you don't have a holistic doctor that you love and trust, get one. Mm-hmm. And get one who is in love with your body, right? That can actually be a translator between your head and your body. And I'm blessed to have that, and I had gone into her about my heart, because that was the health issue I was dealing with. And we asked my body if it wanted me to do the Camino. And because it was a life and death scare in January around my heart. And literally, when she asked my body, and I've been seeing her for years, she was in one of those doctor chairs, right, with the wheels on it, and it literally shot her across the room with a yes.
Yes, we're going.
Right? You should, I wish I had that on video. I might have to recreate it for the documentary, right? Because it's just too hilarious, because the look on her face was just like, I never had that happen before, right? So she asked the body again, because it was like such a wild experience. Same reaction, same response, right? So I went there inside of a spiritual commitment and allegiance in my relationship with God, and an intention to strengthen that, built, and um, really get clarity on life. It expanded inside my health, and getting a newfound access to how do I keep this vessel optimal. And I was 58 when I left and 59 when I came back. So there's also this other component where I'm at that. And anyone who knows me even remotely knows I find myself like it's a station of life that I'm at, right? Which is the third chapter of life. And a real clarity around like, how do I want that to go? And there's, a lot of conversation in late 50s and beyond of like, how does that how that chapter goes there. Something that comes up a lot is growing old is not for the meek, right? And having a sense before I went on the Camino, like, and I know it doesn't have to go, like, it doesn't have to be like, right, like, not good or difficult, or and so being a request that I get answers to that as well. And I got all of it. I got all of it, and then shit tons more. And I'm cussing on purpose tonight. Because it is part of it. Like, there's, if you I know you've noticed that, for anyone who's watching that may not know me, is this like whole new refined sense of self, to be fully free, to be fully self-expressed, and to do it in such a way that's impactful and responsible, right? Like, very much going from the Mustang to the Leopazon. So being able, because that is definitely one of the added benefits I didn't realize I was going to get from the Camino, but the Camino knew that there was for me to get from it.
I love that. It's funny because she was in Portugal and I was here. We were each doing our own Camino, and I didn't even have to leave Canada to do it. I felt like I was in the ringer with her. And it's funny because it's always the last year we keep getting the words, just be truly, authentically yourself and don't hang back. And well, the real true me, I mean, I grew up with two parents that worked in a factory. I worked in trucking for 16 years, all total. No, not 16, 11 years, sorry. And so I'm just like, hello, like, that's what I grew up around, right? And so I've had to suppress it. And now I'm like, I don't want to be suppressed. This is who I am. And if you don't like it, then unfriend me.
Well, there, yeah, 100%. And again, I'm here to share what I got from the Camino. That's what you requested is, I'm very, very clear on this now. And I've got so much peace around it where it's like, oh no, to suppress nothing. Like, a flower does not suppress its petals. Yeah. Like, when it opens fully. Like, I am a daisy and here I am, right? Like, it doesn't, like, ooh, well, let me be a daisy to you. Let me, like, not, no, life is meant to be completely open now, which is funny because you just touched on one of my new fundamentals, which I can't wait to share. And there's to be responsible. Yeah, a daisy doesn't overshadow or cast shadow, right, on another life form. And I would also say in that, and especially in this moment, we're not squirrels and daisies that don't have choice in the matter to be responsible for our self-expression. A daisy can't not be a daisy. Like, a daisy, unlike a human, doesn't get up and go, well, I could be a squirrel. No, it has to be a daisy. So, A squirrel has to be a squirrel. So as far as our self-expression goes, yeah, absolutely. We're designed to be unsuppressed, and there is to be fully expressed in a way that I like to say is like, here's where you want to dance. You want to dance in how am I fully expressed while also hurting no one.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Now that isn't always guaranteed, and like that's why it's a dance and it's a mastery and it's an art. It's an art to accomplish that.
Exactly. We are not responsible for how other people interpreted what we said, other than the fact that we're responsible. What's the proper word I'm looking for?
We'll give up that it's proper for the moment and just speak what's there for you to speak, and then we'll figure it out.
I can't, like I said, the journey I've walked the last 3 years has been, you are only 100% responsible for yourself and no one else. So, yes, other people may have different opinions or thought processes on how we act or be authentically ourselves. And that doesn't mean that we have to take their opinions on.
Yeah, I think that's really well said. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my dear, okay, so you're at the Camino. Your birthday's over there. You're gone 14 days.
So my birthday landed smack dab in the middle of the Camino. It was cray cray.
Okay, I gotta read this.
I'm like, this is like, and it was not planned. Like, these things are not, well, I have it. They were planned by God. God had a great time orchestrating this thing, big time. I just laughed. And that was a big part of my Camino, is like just watching like how God is so interlaid in every minute of my day, and how much God loves me, and I can count on God, and just so good. So good.
I love that. Mark is in the comments again. I got to read this. I think when I had a cat, I thought it was a dog. So sometimes even animals get confused. So
Amen.
Smiled.
Amen. Yeah.
And he said, when is your birthday? Mine was July 1st. So Mark, Kimberly's was June 22nd and mine was July 5th. So happy birthday, brother. You're in the middle of us both.
So we got another Cancerian.
We do. Oh.
The army of Cancerians.
We're
so good.
Feel the army rising.
Yes.
Interesting.
It is rising. That's for sure.
That is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what else do you want to tell us about your experience?
What do I want to tell you? Okay, so this is interesting. What I would like to share about the profanity, like, it's funny, profanity, like that like, yeah. Oh, that's fine, cousin. The profoundness of my Camino was, and on the spiritual end of like what I went there for, was an experience. And I really deliberated over this, and part of me was like, no, I don't want to tell people this, because like I don't want to do a spoiler alert on their Camino, right? And then I just prayed and meditated, and as I started to share, because it's been really, the back end of the Camino has been just as powerful as the Camino itself, maybe even more so. I'm now clear God really wants me to share this, is the Camino is life, right? It's my experience of the Camino was, it is a microcosm of my life. And the very simplistic, the simplest thing I can say about life itself is that it is a walk. And our human vessels were designed to walk. Like literally our human vessels, like they are wired to be walking. Like if you think about predator prey, right? Like like weird, just like horses and cattle, like buffalo. They're just always moving, always moving, always moving, always moving, always moving in a real steady cadence kind of a way. And that as you're walking, specifically for humans, you will pass 1,000 doorways.
Mhm.
Like literally, I passed 1,000 doorways. And some of these doorways, lead to like you realize as you're walking and you see these thousands, not just 1,000, but thousands of doorways, you realize they all lead to a world, right?
Mhm.
Because in every household, there's a world going on in there,
Yeah.
right? So another realm, another realm, another realm, another and then there's the doorways that I would pass that were ancient doorways where it was literally all that was left was sometimes a door and not like literally I have pictures. We can post them when we post the show, right? But like and I literally would pass them on the Camino thinking, man, if I walk through that, am I going to go into another dimension? Like
You should have tried it.
well, I kind of didn't try it because I didn't want to go into another dimension and not be able to find my way back. But anyway, the point of that, right, being like you have thousands, like unlimited numbers of choices as you're walking inside this lifetime,
Mhm.
and that walk will end, right? So like it ends in Santiago.
Mhm.
It will end, and it ends the same for all of us. And until further notice, it ends in death. To be very, very clear and very, very blunt. And your choices while you're walking are your choices.
Yeah.
There's no one to blame. There's no one to say, well, I made that choice. What, right? Like whatever you have put behind that, let it go. It's
Mhm.
I call BS right here, right now. And meaning the message I want to give to people, right, is like, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. When that second foot goes in the grave, there will be no one to blame or to hold to account. You made your choices. You made them. And it makes no difference how you show up for your Camino. It makes no difference the bags you have on your back, right? Like, here's my Camino bag, right? Like, you can let them go. At like literally day 2, I let my bag go. Like I literally like, yep, not carrying that anymore, right? I mean, so you get to say how your Camino goes. That's the good news.
Right.
And be very clear, it will end in death. So choose wisely. Like that was like one of the huge pieces that I got. Like you, especially for me, going from 58 to 59 on the Camino, as I'm stepping into that third, potentially very rich chapter of living, but and could also be very daunting and traumatic, and not
Mhm.
end in a pretty way, right? So my
Yeah.
choices are now, even more so. And now this was the ridiculous gift. So I get this on the Camino, right? Like I get these awarenesses. I start processing these awarenesses. I start processing my life choices up till now, like, all that. Like I start purging, I start, you know, journaling and, all this amazing stuff. I get to Santiago and they have services, pilgrimage services that they're running. I sit in the cathedral, I'm in the service, and you got to get like you're passing and you're going into and you're spending time in all these other cathedrals all the way along on the Camino. None of them are as grandiose as the one in Santiago. None of them.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting in the pew, they're speaking in, Spanish, and which was perfect because like I'm so grateful because I couldn't understand what they were saying during the service, so I could just absorb it, and I couldn't get intellectual about it. And at one moment, every cell in my body resonated with, oh, okay, I get it. My pilgrimage is my pilgrimages. They're my choices. I can choose anything I want. It will end in death. And at death, I will go to heaven. Like it was like literally like, this is what it's going to be like on the other side of death. You'll be home. Instantaneously, you'll be back home. Like that aha of like, oh, like I left home, which is heaven, to go be on earth, to experience earth. And then at the end of that pilgrimage, I get to go home. And it's going to be this choir of angels, and it's going to be magnificent and very much so, and this is just my personal experience, that kind of sensation of the prodigal son. Like whatever I did, whatever I didn't do in this lifetime, I'll be received in heaven with open and loving, singing choirs of angels, right? Arms and like I can't fuck this life up. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like anything any baggage I was carrying around, like, oh, I don't want to let God down, and like, I got to make sure I fulfill my mission. Am I fulfilling my mission? Like all that stress I had previously put myself under, consciously, subconsciously, I could just let it all go.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been consistently reaffirmed and reaffirmed and reaffirmed and reaffirmed. And, being able to, anybody who's hearing this, wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with, whatever's going on in your life, and trust me, if you haven't read my book or, you know what I mean, or followed me or whatever, trust me, I've experienced quite a handful of the darkness that's available in humanity. And God loves you. You can't F it up. And now's the time, like right now, because
Mm-hmm.
none of us knows when that second foot's going in the grave, so to speak, right? Like, my little air quotes. So whatever you got to do to get out of your darkness or whatever it is you're dealing with, do it. Like, do it. Reach out to Dorothy, reach out to her show, reach out to whoever, but set yourself free. Because you hold the keys to the kingdom. You hold the keys to the jail, and you hold the keys to the kingdom, and they're literally on the same key ring. And right here, right now, I'm like, oh, it's the same key. It's not even really. It's the same key.
It's ironic that you're having this conversation and right at this moment, because literally last week we lost somebody in our, I guess, an extension of our family, not direct, but an extension of our family. And so, reminded again that, okay, life is short, go after what you want. And dealing with my grandmother this last couple of weeks has not been easy. I mean, she's got dementia, a lot of different things going on. And, just looking at her life and saying, okay, wait a minute, she's 92. She's done. She wants to go home to be with God. She does not want to be here anymore. And it's funny because just before my birthday, I went and seen her, and she was having that same conversation. And I'm like, okay, how many years have I got to hear this for? Because I've heard it for the last 30. And so, no, well, it's true. Like when you've heard, I just wish God would take me home. Like,
yeah,
for 30 years, I'm done with the conversation. Yeah. But now that I know she's not in her right mind, and I get that, and her mind is slipping huge these last couple of days. And so I'm like, I had a conversation with my aunt tonight. And I'm like, maybe it's getting time, and it can be the best thing for her.
Well, listen, I'm just, I put my hands up, disclaimer, I'm just speaking from my heart and my soul, even as you were just speaking right now, right? Like, I don't know what I don't know about dementia. I'm just going to say this, like, I do know about my life experiences with God. I know about meeting Jesus when I was 4, right? Like, I know what I know about my personal experiences with being with God. And, what I heard is your grandma may be having moments of connecting with heaven. And listen, I'm just going to say it. My experience in Santiago is like, yeah, I'm ready. Take me. Like, oh my gosh, it's freaking awesome. Like, now I am not advocating everyone end life early. No, I'm not saying that at all. Not even remote. Like, no, like, you want to honor the gift of this life experience that we've been given, and every day that we've been given, honor each and every day. I'm just saying I can appreciate. And to your point, I have people in my life that have dealt with a lot of grief in the last 10 years and a lot of pain. And they're very, part of their conversation is like, I'm kind of done. Right. Like, it's like, and having a respect and an appreciation for how God may be speaking to them to give them internal peace to let go and go home. I can just speak from my Camino. I would say, give that room to breathe. Like opening up a good bottle of wine. You don't need to add to it. You don't need a Dr. Kevorkian anything here, right? But like consider they haven't lost their minds, right? Like consider they may have accessed something that they're just speaking to.
It's a possibility.
And it's
Yeah. I like what Mark had to say here. He says, life is definitely short. Sometimes we procrastinate going after what we want. 100%, brother.
Yeah.
And, and that's, I think, what Kimberly was alluding to earlier. It's like whatever you're wanting to do in life, but procrastinating on, God's telling you now is the time.
If you're watching this show,
here's your sign.
Yeah. One of my favorite comedians on the planet. Like, you don't need a sign. This is the sign.
This is your sign.
Go get it. Don't go get it at the cost of anyone. Be responsible for your going to go get it. Right? But on the same token, go. Also, but like when I say also to bring clarity, when I say not at the cost of anyone, that doesn't mean if you've surrounded yourself with people who tell you what to do and don't empower you to be fully self-expressed. I'm not talking about that cost, right? Like the cost of those people not understanding you or appreciating you or valuing you or losing those people in your life. I'm not talking about those costs. I'm talking about the cost of like stepping over or on top of another human being to go get what you want. Like just again, to bring clarity about that.
100%. 100%. Yes. Thank you for that disclaimer. So now is the time we usually have the fundamental section of the show. And since Kimberly normally does that, I guess I will be the host of that section tonight.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch you step into my shoes, girl. Go.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
so, Miss Kimberly, what is your 3 fundamentals?
Well, thank you for asking, Dorothy. And they are absolutely brand new. From what and they were the same fundamentals for a really long time, which I will just reawaken everyone to what they were. And before I jump into those, just to be responsible, if you have any interest whatsoever in doing the El Camino, if the show has enlightened you or inspired you or sparked even like the smallest bit of fire in you about doing the Camino, run, don't walk. And that pun is intended, right? Like literally run, don't walk. If you want to reach out to me personally, please do. It would be my honor and privilege to do so, to support you in any way that I can. And I am very clear, and it's all ages, like literally it's all ages of people doing the Caminos. So just want to make sure I got that in before the show was over. Okay. Awesome. So my fundamentals before the Camino were to, number one, be the difference, right? So in other words, go out of your way, like whenever you're doing something, right? Like doing it well or making a difference, like, was kind of my thing before the Camino. And but then to take it one step further, because I'm all about that, right? To be the difference, right? So there was that. And then there was owning it, like make sure like whatever it is that you're doing, you can own it, and you're like, it's very fundamentally important to be able to do that. And then my third fundamental was, if it isn't fun, don't do it. Right. And when I said that, like, it wasn't like, oh, do something until it's no longer fun, because, sometimes people can hear it that way. It's like, no. It's my responsibility that whatever I'm doing is fun, right? So like, I don't even start it if I'm not inspired by it. And then to master the art of keeping things fun, right? So those were my 3 fundamentals before the Camino. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
After my first Camino, my 3 fundamentals are number 1, and it's I like the fundamentals, like, Greg Bicknell, right? Like love,
and love,
right? It's like, so similar to that, right? It's like, if I could only have one, this would be the one, right? Okay, so the other 2, definitely part of my 3 fundamentals. And if I could only pick one, this would be the one. It's mastering forgiveness, mastering the art of forgiveness, and the power and magic that becomes available to live the most ridiculously rich and decadently delicious life ever. Master the art of forgiveness. And I that's capital A, in as in art. It is an art. And humans really want to get that each and every one of them are creators and artists. And in my world and fundamentals is for us to get the art that we're here to master, is the art of forgiveness and the difference that it makes. Internal, external, myself, others, the world, God, source, all of it. Okay. So that's number 1. My second fundamental is, and this is capital, like screaming letters, live your best life now. Right. With the
yes.
Right? Like, live your best life now and now and now. Now. And again, same caveat I've been saying the whole show, at the cost of no one, especially yourself. Right? Not at the cost of your body, not at the cost of like finding the way to accomplish that. And then last but not least, set a standard to your life that gives you pure access to pure joy. Okay. So set a standard in all that you do, all that you are, right? All that you experience, all the people around you, where your standard is joy, pure joy, unadulterated joy, right? And then be aware that as you set that standard, as you set that bar and you reach it, it may not hold, because it's not meant to, right? So if you think of a flower, if you think of like you are a flower, and the expansion of a flower garden, right? It's like, okay, well, what gave the flower joy to grow is going to be different than what's going to give the expansion of that flower to grow, right? Like, and like the bigness of it, right? Like it will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So always be, aware, like, oh, am I still in a joyful, am I robotically now doing something? Did I allow joy to leave the soil, so to speak? And I'm like, like, not like what anything's wrong, just like literally like, oh crap, I've gone into a robotic mode, because the beauty of this vessel is it'll go into autopilot, and you got to be able to catch it. So, so those are my 3 new fundamentals since the Camino.
I love that you said that.
And they completely erase the old ones. Like it's so fun, right? Like, it's like, not saying that those aren't still things that, like, they're in my soil that is me, but no, like, no. Like, they're just gone. Like, did that, was amazing life, and this next runway, that's what it looks like, those three fundamentals.
I love that. It's funny because after we got off our recording on Saturday morning, and I was like, okay, so let's go through my laundry list of things I have to do. And my next thought was, I do not want to sit at this desk on a beautiful Saturday morning when my family is in the front room. I am just like, what do I have to do in this moment that to ensure what is the absolute one thing I need to do, and then I can get the hell out of here?
What's the one thing that would have everything else get done? Right. Yes.
And so I did it, and I'm like, peace out. I'm out of here for the rest of the weekend.
I'm telling you, man, mastering the art of the 20%, man. It's like talk about freedom and power.
Yeah. And yeah, it's and it's funny, if anybody's frustrated with the way life is going right now, but you're doing small things daily that add up, because I'm right there with you. Like, I am like, man, I could be so much further if, but then Kimberly reminded me, especially around this event that we host every year. And my first goal out of the first year, I wanted to raise $100,000 because, I go big or go home all the freaking time. And then I get disappointed. But then she reminds me, okay, what did we do our first year? So I looked at the numbers after I got off the phone.
Good. This will be good. Like, guys, I'm hearing this for the first time too, so this will be good.
So the first year we had 6 players, and it was mostly family and friends, like immediate family and friends of my dad's. Last year we had 10 teams. We had 9 hole sponsors, but my mom sponsored 2 holes. So, and we had 10 teams, and we raised $1,000. The first year, I don't think we raised anything. I think it was just more just to have fun. This year, friends, we've already got 9 hole sponsors. I still have 2.5 weeks left to go before the event. I already have 10 teams, and I need 15 more so that we can have a shotgun start. So if anybody would love to come to Tilbury, Ontario, we need you. The time is now. Promise you we will have fun. We're going to have fun at this event. You're going to live your best life out on that golf course, I can guarantee you, even if you hate golfing. Just trust me, we always have fun. Kimberly was with me last year.
I'll be there, and I'll be there, guys. Anything you want to pick my brain on the Camino, or feel free to, I will be there as a resource and available to come play. Added perk.
Absolutely, we will find joy at that event. Yeah. I mean, yes, it's talking about cancer and things like that, but we will find joy in that event. Trust me.
Here's the thing, I'm so glad you brought that up, Dee, because the thing is I don't care what that's my whole point. One of my favorite humans on the planet, Nick V, he was literally born with no arms and no legs. Mm-hmm. He has the best life. He's had the best life. He lives his best life. I don't care what you like. I don't care what the topic is. I don't care. We're doing this in the last minutes of the show, right? But it's kind of perfect, right? Like, anybody wants to reach out to me, they can on these topics. And, we're creating a forgiveness movement. So, we more to come, right, on this. But, I don't care if we're talking about, 20-year-olds shooting, presidential candidate. I know it's like, oh, are you freaking kidding me? And, not bringing let's just say on that particular topic, or the topic of cancer, a context of joy, right? Like the fruit of the spirit. Joy is one of the top fruits of the spirit. And it's that joy, like the joy of discovery, the joy of accomplishing something, the joy of finding a cure to cancer, or the joy of with the 20-year-old and the situation with Trump. It's like, okay, maybe the joy will be like, okay, this is something we as a country we can take on together. Or there's so many things that initially occur like horrific, that have stimulated so much joy and triumph and victory and transcendence and transformation for humanity, that to spend any more time longer than necessary in grief, and trust me, grief is important. Grief is to be processed 100%, but you can even have joy in grief. Like, oh, hello, Steel Magnolias, right? One of the greatest shows on the planet around grief, right? And how life goes on, right? And being able to laugh in your tears. Like, some of the greatest laughter lives in tears, right? So, you know.
100%. 100%. For sure. That was an amazing episode. So thank you, Kimberly, for sharing your wisdom on the Camino and your journey. Mark did have a question here, so I will answer it. He says, I was having a great conversation about old books. Did you read Paddington Bear or Curious George in Canada? And yes, friend, we do have those books here in Canada, and I read both. I don't remember those were like childhood books, so I don't remember, but I do remember reading them, and we do have them here in Canada. So I just wanted to answer that question. And again, guys, there's still time. Join us August 3rd for the 3rd annual Don Graham Memorial Fun Classic. Promise you will have a great time. Where else can you go for 18 rounds of golf with a cart, steak dinner? Come see my friend Kimberly and I. Have a great time. Have fun. Have a bunch of laughs. There's door prizes. There's cash prizes. We're getting more door prizes each day, which is amazing. Last year we didn't have those. Well, pardon me, we had two. My sister-in-law, who runs I forget the name of the company. I'm sorry, Chrissy. They're a wood mediator. Anyways, so they have a wood business here in town, warehouse. And so they donated a $50 gift card. And we had Molly out of Tilbury, where my brother works, had donated. But this year we've got some amazing prizes from Seasonal Mechanical Services, who is my HVAC guy. He's giving away an HVAC service. Dr. Royster out of Tampa, Florida, is giving away 2 therapy sessions. So that's amazing. Tilbury Golf Course is giving away 4 rounds of golf with cart. So we have that already.
Look at that.
I know, right? It's been amazing. I believe my hairdresser is going to come up with a little basket for us. Carrie Charles, amazing lady. So, more to come on that.
Good
stuff. So, message me today. I'll get you the information you need. We'll get you registered. Whether you're in Canada or the US, we've got a way to get you registered. But message me today, and we'll do that for you. Any last words, Kimberly, before we wrap this up?
Just thank you, Dorothy. Thank you for the opportunity to share about the Camino, and thank you for thank you for who you are and what you've created in life so far, and for others, and for the audience. Again, check out the Camino. If it speaks to you in any way, shape, or form, run, don't walk. It's funny. Someone asked me in a 1-minute snippet, what would I say to them about the Camino? And what I would say is, as far as life experiences go, it tops even getting married. And I adore my husband, and we've been together 33 years. But when I say it as far as transcendent life experiences in my last 59 years of being on this planet, it beats all of them. And then as soon as I said it to this person, I said, and as a matter of fact, if you're considering any major life experiences like getting married, run, don't walk, get your butt over there and get that awareness that is available, that awakening that is available for you. And the biggest gift is that calm peace of mind that I've gotten. And you want to I'm the Indiana Jones of, accessing different ways of transcendence and transformation. And this is This is a whole package. And it very much lives in, like, it is very distinct and unique for each human that goes. And they get to go inside of a space of being whole, complete, and perfect. This is not a, oh, there's something to fix, or there's something you don't know, or there's something you don't have. It is 100% a process of awakening every cell in your freaking body in a very natural, organic, loving, and enjoyable way. So
love that. So walk, don't run. Get your passport together if you don't have one. Get over to Portugal. Start your Camino. Your own
Germany, France, Spain, wherever.
Yes.
Watch the movie The Way. It's a great place to start. But there's 1,000 documentaries and things like that, or, you know, like I said, reach out to me if you want. But yeah, go check. Let it organically float into your life, because you're hearing it for a reason.
Absolutely. All right, guys, be unstoppable in all that you do. Remember, same time, same channel next week. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel at Unstoppable Overcomers. Leave a review if you would be so inclined, and see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye.